Good day, ma'am. My name is Prince Aldrich Blas. In this presentation, I will present to you the chapter 1 of our topic that was entitled Cautious and Gradual Reopening of Limited Face-to-Face Classes in Isabela State University, Kawayan Campus. These are the table of contents of our topic. The problem and its background. Coronaviruses are starting to spread over the world, and many countries have shuttered their elementary and secondary schools. Schools in Japan have reopened following the lifting of the state of emergency, and teachers are teaching face-to-face session while observing safety precautions. Students in medicine and allied health degrees are the only ones who can attend face-to-face classes. Medical, nursing, medical technology, medical laboratory science, physical therapy, midwifery, and public health programs are the only ones allowed to reopen physically in areas under general community quarantine and modified general community quarantine. Collaboration with local government bodies is required for higher educations, as well as a contingency plan for the resumption of limited physical classes. To avoid mass gatherings, the maximum number of pupils should be allowed, provided that a gap of 1.5 meters is maintained between each students. Furthermore, extracurricular activities should be prohibited. School must redesign their facility layouts to maintain physical separation. Health declaration forms and body's temperature must still be taken at the school's entry. Another duty of school administrators is to maintain a clear barrier between the faculty and the students when classes are in session. School libraries are also open for a brief time to encourage pupils to use only library services to their full potentials. The CHED has the authority to order the immediate suspension of any school that violates the circulars, health regulation, and others condition without prior warning. The Philippine government is making this effort to increase the number of health workers in the country during the pandemic. However, a youth group in the country is demanding that the government not allow face-to-face classes under the vaccination program is implemented, which is a hot topic these days. Ultimately, the gradual reopening of face-to-face classes becomes a necessity in order to regain a sense or normalcy in the midst of a pandemic. Statement of the problem. This research study aims to determine the cautious and gradual for reopening limited face-to-face classes in Isabela State University Kawain campus for the school year 2022-2023. Specifically, it aims to answer the following questions. What is the profile of the student according to these variables, age and gender? What are the cautious for reopening face-to-face classes at the tertiary level? Significance of this study. This study will help the ISU student to take action towards the cautious of reopening the limited face-to-face classes. This study will benefit the following: students, teachers, parents, and future researchers. Objectives. The isolation room is a single-person room with adequate ventilation and self-closing door if possible. Number 2, objectives: to monitor and evaluate the implementation of health and safety protocols. And number 3, objectives: to continuously make improvement in their institutional policies, guidelines, and procedures and their implementation. The last is the scope and the limitation. The study mainly focused on the cautious and gradual reopening of limited face-to-face classes at the tertiary level. The purpose of the study is to define what is the caution of reopening limited face-to-face classes regarding their health condition. The researchers select 121 students in ISU, Kawayan. Students as the respondent. This was conducted at Isabela State University Kawayan campus in the school year 2022-2023. Thank you for listening to our chapter 1, and God bless.
Hello everyone, I'm Noven Rose NESPEROS, and I'm one of the member who present Chapter 2, which is RRL, or Review Related Literature. Articles and information stated below represent the data needed for this research study to support the result and conclusion of this study. The included literature includes a variety of studies and citation about student perception of limited face-to-face classes in Isabela State University Kawayan campus. The articles also demonstrate the impact and benefits of limited face-to-face classes. As a result, the analysis and data acquired will be summarized to reveal the study's principal concern. In addition, the information in this area aids in the confirmation of further details of future outcomes and findings derived from the data. Finally, it provides a way to understand the purpose of the study widely. Even if lessons are only partially online, students may believe that online conversation disseminates their sense of community with their classmate and tutor. Furthermore, on a practical level, students must exercise more self-motivation to finish activities online than in class, where the lecture served as the motivator up to 2006. As a result, rather than focusing on one or the other, it is essential to investigate student perception of online and limited face-to-face classes or learning experiences. According to 62% of responding institutions, students were underprepared for online education, which 51% of students having superior experience with online courses. Students said it was challenging for them to keep focus during the transition to online learning. Most students believe the online learning experience was not as engaging as in-person learning students. Complained about various issues, including a lack of opportunity to collaborate with each other, inability to pay attention. Stay focused and stay motivated in not feeling included. In the Philippines, Tokoero 2020 discusses how curriculum adaptation are required for higher education to boost student learning. The author demonstrates how universities and institutions were unprepared for the face-to-face classes and how education must change. State that online lesson must be adapted to the new structure even with the proper technology and access to the internet. Like so many other elements of daily life, has had a significant impact on the student in structure in educational institutions all across the world. School, colleges, and universities and worldwide were forced to close their doors as a result of the limited face-to-face classes so that students may observe social distancing procedures. Tokyo 2020. That said, transitioning so successfully from a traditional education environment to a distant and virtual learning environment is possible. According to limited face-to-face classes in Isabel State University, Kawayan Campus, must be preferred in learning modality during the new normal education. The college students of Isabel State University, Kawayan Campus are the participants of this study. They are more likely to have a harder time to adjust their learning ways during the current school disruption and isolation. This study could be significant to the college student to address and improve the state of student well-being and know the other student perception on the limited face-to-face classes on the selected school in the Philippines future. The result of this study will serve as a reference for future researchers who want to conduct further research on these related fields. The study includes only the college students who are studying in Isabel State University in Kawan campus. This study aims to know the perception of students to the limited face-to-face classes implemented. Consequently, it also includes the coping strategies. How does student overcome the difficulties they experience in regard to the limited face-to-face classes? The participant will limit the number of students to 10. This is due to the time concentrate and the type of research being conducted. Lastly, this study also limits itself in finding out the effects and perception of students in regards to limited face-to-face classes to impose. According to CHED 2021, they announced that President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has authorized the pilot introduction of limited face-to-face classes in seminars in low-risk regions as part of the administration. Nonetheless, we would want to underline that the pilot will only be open to at least 100 public and 20 private schools as part of its participation requirements. These schools are located in low-risk area as determined by the Department of Health or DOH, and they must have passed the safety assessment conducted by the Department of CHED by using the school safety assessment tools, as well as the support of the local government unit in the form of a resolution or support letter. Even though the public school have already gone through a selection procedures, the participants from private schools will still have to go through a selection process. Participating school also need to get the written endorsement and approval of the parents of student who will be participating in the pilot program. No student will be complete to participate in experimental development of face-to-face courses in this project. For 2 months, a mix of face-to-face seasons at school in distant learning modalities will be used to experiment. According to Wang 2007, online interaction in learning occurs when students interact with course, content, and with instructor and peers. Well-designed interactive learning tasks tend to promote student interaction with instructor and peers and increase student involvement with course content. Student benefits from providing explanations rather than receiving them. In this form of the interaction, students are encouraged to pose questions about an issue in order to find an explanation to their inquiry, such as proactive learning engage students in a higher level of thinking than the reactive type of learning. Wang 2007 or P18. In addition, Wang states that assessment, including assigning a grade to collaborate learning tasks, positively relates to student learning. Furthermore, Jackson, Jones, and Rodriguez 2010 find the significant factor that enhanced student learning and satisfaction are instructors. Prompt responses clarify of expectation and accessibility of content. Overall, CAR 2000. Frederickson, Pickett, and Shia 2006. Zhong Xiao, Lim, and Lim 2002. Agree that student interaction with instructor and peers play a vital roles in student learning success. The author emphasized the importance of the student participation and level and quality to collaboration with peers and instructors.
Is MARIFEL DAMMATAN. I'm one of the members who present the Chapter 3, which is Methodology. This chapter presents the research design, respondent of the study, data gathering tools, the data gathering procedure, and lastly, the statistical treatment. So, bali ito yung nilalaman ng Chapter 3. Design. According to Pollitt and Beck 2010, the research design of a study outlines the basic approach that researchers use to answer their research question. To meet the aims and objectives of the study, it is important that the researcher selects the most appropriate design for achieving the aims of the study by Paraho 2006. However, the quantitative approach arises from the belief that human phenomena and variables in human behavior can be studied objectively, also by Paraho 2006, and so this approach has been chosen as an appropriate research method. Quantitative research uses a fixed design that organizes in advance the research question and the detailed method of data collection and analysis by Robson 2007. A descriptive design involving a survey as outlined by Leobiondo, Wood, and Haber 2006 is chosen for this study. It is proposed that this survey will collect details of the current attitude, knowledge, and experience. Next, respondent of the study. The researchers randomly selected 121 from the ISU student as the respondents. This was conducted at Isabela State University Kawain campus in the school year 2022 to 2023. So, bali sila yung napili namin na magiging target namin in this study. Data gathering tools. The data gathering instrument or tools that we use was to gather the random selected student's profile. The researcher used a survey questionnaire that was drawn out from the previous studies and research, for it is proven to be much more effective on the type of research that we are having. The researcher also used this method of data gathering for it is known to have less bias and the least expensive way of collecting data. In addition, it also promotes open-minded options that were provided to accommodate open-minded options related to our study to also avoid any kind of bias in the method of collecting this data. Moreover, encourage the respondents to be more cooperative due to the fact that it is much more comfortable to respond and much open to options, but is still related and specific to our type of research that the researcher is conducting. The data gathering procedures. So, bali lahat ng procedure na ginawa namin is included na po sa part na ito. To complete this study, the researcher will undertake the following procedures. First procedure, the researcher will formally write a letter to the respective school for their consent to conduct the study and the request to get the email address of the respondent to facilitate the research instrument and survey via Google Form and Google Meet respectively. Next, due to current health crisis brought by COVID-19 pandemic, the researcher may not be allowed to go this school and would to send this formal letter via school email address. Once the request has been granted, the online survey questionnaire using Google Form will be administered to the entire faculty and administrators of this school. Lastly, to validate the responses from the instrument, the researcher will also conduct a structured interview via Google Meet with the selected respondent, including the student, through a focus group discussion. Lastly, the statistical treatment of the data. The researcher will treat and analyze the data gathered from the survey using descriptive statistic. It used in describing the basic features of the data in the study and simplifying substantial amounts of data in a sensible way. This also provides a simple summary of data